Right? Shalom. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi. But before I get started, as always, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi Bahasham Rakahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. Shalom. Another Saturday prophesying against this wicked kingdom, Babylon the Great, which the majority of these people out here know as the United States of America, ruled by the basest of men, the biblical Edomite, or these so-called white people. And it's pretty chilly out here today, so just keeping warm through the spirit. But yeah, we can clearly see that we're at the end of this Edomite, this so-called white man's rulership. This society is collapsing on all levels, economically, militarily, politically, morally. The list goes on and on. And hey, one of the major signs the Most High has been sending us is that these elites are dying off. These ones that are pushing for that NW0, that GREATRESET, that fourth industrial revolution. And just recently, you had that devil, that Rothschild, that Amalekite Edomite, Evelyn Rothschild, just passed away. And it happened on the time of a lunar eclipse, a blood moon that isn't going to take place again until 2025. And we know that when the Most High shows signs in the heavens, that something major is about to take place. And that, on top of one of these top devils out here, these top Edomites passing away, just goes to show that this man's time is truly nearing its end. Hey, this Edomite was only set up, he was set up to rule for an allotted amount of time. His rule wasn't going to be indefinite. And we've just about reached those bounds which this devil cannot pass. Hence, why his society, his rulership is collapsing all around us. I'm going to start off with that. This is Job chapter 14, verse 5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And again, this devil has just about reached those bounds which he cannot pass. Hence why his society is collapsing all around us. And we're just waiting for a few major prophecies to take place before that real final nail in the coffin of his rulership is going to be hammered in there. Of course, the mandatory implementation of the Charagma in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, that RFID/NFC C-hip implant, and then shortly after that, what? World War III really kicking off, those nuclear missiles flying, and Yahawashi making his second coming to save his elect, put an end to Esau's rulership and usher in the kingdom of heaven. And we can see all these different signs and indicators leading up to these eventualities taking place as we speak. More end-time signs to mark the end of this man's rulership. Or the famines are coming, even more pestilences, civil unrest, World War III is already brewing. May the persecution of the men of the Lord and the Israelites in this truth. We can see this demonization campaign they're setting up to bring about the famine of the word, which is another indicator we're close to the end, etc., etc. But again, the Most High has set bounds that this devil cannot pass, and he's just about reached them. And hey, Evelyn Rothschild just passed away. You had one of those wicked British princes a couple of years ago passed away. And oh, we can't forget Queen Elizabeth. She passed away. I think it was David Rockefeller a year or so ago that passed away. So all these devils that lived up into old age that were heavily pushing for this NW0, they didn't get to live to see it. Now the only thing they've got to look forward to is coming straight back into slavery, into captivity, which is going to be the fate for you elites and for you Edomites and you other heathens as a whole. Hey, this age of the Gentiles, of the heathen Gentiles as a whole is coming to an end, and the only thing to come next, the only people that have next, are the children of Israel. But yeah, I was originally going to go into the nukes and the nuclear destruction, which the Spirit may lead there, but I started off with just the triumphing of the wicked is short. The time for this devil, these Edomites to rule, it wasn't an infinite thing, it was a finite thing. And again, we've just about reached the end of it. But now I'm going to go to Job chapter 20. I'm going to start at verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? And we know who that wicked is, according to Malachi 1 verse 4 and Job 9 verse 24. The wicked, whom the earth has been given into the hands of, the border of wickedness, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, these so-called white people as a whole. And as I said, the triumphing of the wicked is short. And as we read in Job chapter, I think it was chapter 8, the Most High set of bounds which he cannot pass. Beginning with the Renaissance, that little season of their final rulership, that devil was loosed to rule in these last times and deceive the world. But again, he's just about reached everything he's just about fulfilled everything he was meant to fulfill in prophecy, hence why he's going down. Since I read it, I'm gonna do it justice and not paraphrase it. But this is Revelation chapter 20. I'll start at verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand. And the bottomless pit is speaking of Europe, because according to the scriptures, lands can be referred to as pits, which I'll get that real quick. In the Apocrypha, this is 2nd Esdras. And I should have brought some gloves. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 5. I'm going to start at 23. And said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. And this is going into how the Most High has his favorite of everything. His favorite plants, his favorite land, and his favorite people, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true children of Israel. Contrary to popular belief, the Most High is a separatist. He's a supremacist for his people and none else. And the people that he has, just like the Most High has a love, he has a hate as well. And the people that he hates the most are you Edomites. Thou hast chosen thee one only vine, and of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, one favorite land, which of course is speaking of the land of Israel. So that bottomless pit in Revelation 20 verse 1 is speaking of Europe. And the reason it's known as the bottomless pit is because that land of Europe isn't rich in natural resources. They make the shit. They make motors for cars and other things, but they need to get all the raw materials from other countries. Hence, why you had colonization in the past, and you had these different European countries, European companies set up in these different countries, sucking them of their resources dry to make these luxury items in Europe to sell to the rest of the world. Having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And that angel is twofold. On the one hand, it's speaking of Yahushai. And on the other hand, it's speaking of the Roman Emperor Septimius Severus, who was an Israelite, who really he set the groundwork for Israel, well, for Israelites to take over the Roman Empire, because you had the ancient pagan Roman Empire when it was under the biblical Edomites, these so-called white people. But then when Septimius Severus came into power after the year of the 5 emperors, which included some other Jakes who were all vying to become emperor, that's when Israel, Jacob, came into power in the Roman Empire, and then it transitioned into the Eastern Roman Empire, in the Byzantine Empire. But again, laying that great chain on that dragon, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, was Jacob getting a leg over on Esau in the Roman Empire. And then eventually from there, you had Jake just completely take over and start ruling in all of Europe, and the Edomites were pushed into the Caucasus Mountains, and that's where they stayed for about 1,000 years, which, when you look up the timeline of the Byzantine Empire, it lasted for 1,000 years. And coming into the end of that 1,000 years, you're going into the late 1300s, going into the 1400s, which what happened around that time, what is known as the Renaissance, or the rebirth, when these Edomites started coming back into power. And he laid hold on the dragon. When we read, let's get it. Let's see who that dragon is more specifically. Because this ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan having a war in heaven with God and being a fallen angel and the Nephilim and all that shit. That's all Saturday morning cartoon nonsense. And the Book of Enoch, that's more BS that you don't need to worry about. You can just wipe your ass with that, as well as the Book of Jasher and any of these other books that don't line up with scriptures out there. That being said, you actually do have a real Book of Jasher out there, but we don't have it. The one out there is not the true one. The true one is the powers that be have it hidden in they have it hidden right now. But hey, we don't need it. We will get all that knowledge and everything that was taken from us by these Edomites in the kingdom. But all we have and all we need right now is everything that's contained in the scriptures. The Old Testament, New Testament, and the Apocrypha, which is a part of the Old Testament. But real quick, this is Revelation chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Hey, that's talking about Israel, the 12 stars representing the 12 tribes. And the sun and the moon, according to the scriptures, can be symbolic for knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And she, being with child, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And what that great red dragon is speaking of is the ancient pagan Roman Edomite Empire. And what was the color of the Romans? Red. When you look at those centurions and legionnaires, their tunics were the color of red. And what did it say about Esau? Salakia. What did it say about Esau in Revelation chapter 25? That he was born red all over, like an hairy garment. And then Mount Petra, Seir, where the Edomites originally dwelt. Petra means red rock. And Rothschild, hey, like I started off with the video talking about Evelyn Rothschild's death. When you go into what Rothschild means, it means red shield or red child. So hey, the Most High has put these clues out here that you just need to look into, to understand what everything is and who everything is according to the scriptures. As it says in Romans chapter 8, the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And on the flip side, the Spirit beareth witness with the wicked, with these so-called white people, that they are indeed the Edomites, the wicked, that old serpent, the devil and Satan according to the scriptures. And devil simply means deceiver, while Satan means adversary. And we can see that these Edomites are definitely deceivers and adversaries, especially to the children of Israel. They've deceived the world into setting up their image as being that of God and his son, so-called Jesus, whose true name is Yahweh. They set themselves up to look as the children of Israel, and they're an adversary to this entire planet because they do everything clean contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments. I did a video the other day showing that you've got several extinction level events with wildlife and just the environment as a whole taking place. And who's it taking place under the rulership of? These Edomites. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And that can go into Mary, the mother of Yahushai, and giving birth to Yahushai. And then let's just keep reading. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And that dragon's tail, casting down 3 stars from heaven, is referring to the southern kingdom, which was in Jerusalem at this time, at the time of Yahushai. The southern kingdom being Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And when it says, and the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. What should come to mind is the birth of Yahushai, which you can read about in Matthew chapter 1 and chapter 2, where Herod the Great heard from the Israelites that told him back then that all the signs were in place showing that the Messiah, the Hamashiach, the anointed, was to be born, the true king of the Jews. And at that time, Herod the Great, who was an Edomite, which it speaks about in that book, Who is Esau Edom? He was an Edomite who was set up by the Romans to rule over the Israelites. He heard of all these prophecies and saw all these signs. So what did he do? He set forward himself. He put decrees in place to try to find Yahushai and put him to death because he was afraid of it. So as we can see, that red dragon, spoken of trying to devour the child that the woman would bring forth, lines up perfectly with Herod the Great, Herod the Idumean, Herod the Edomite. That red dragon set up by those other red dragons, the Romans, to put to death Yahushai. It lines up that red dragon as being with the Edomites. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto the Most High and to his throne. Yahushai was put to death on the cross, and then he went up to the Heavenly Father. And now he's sitting at the right hand of the Heavenly Father, waiting to come back down and save his elect and put an end to that red dragon completely. Put an end to Esau's rulership and set up the kingdom of heaven. But I'll get one more precept and get back to that Revelation 20. I just wanted to hearken in on this point where it said he was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. This Revelation chapter 19. I'll start at verse 11 just to get the point. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. This is Yahushua making his second coming to again save the elect and put an end to the rulership of these Edomites, that red dragon, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, symbolizing Yahushua taking away the rulership of these heathens. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And we know that Yahushua has a name, which is Yahushua, which means he is the deliverer. What that means is that the name that no man knew but he himself is like pretty much his authority. We know Yahushua sits at the right hand of the Heavenly Father and is underneath and is directly under the Heavenly Father, the second in command, and he's going to be the ultimate king in the kingdom of heaven. But we just don't understand the magnitude or the gravity of how much power and majesty Yahushua truly holds. That's what that means. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, symbolic of the great mass, death, and destruction he's bringing. And when you go to Isaiah chapter 63, it says, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra?" And it talks about how his garment was stained with red, as if he had been pressing grapes in a wine vat. And you know, when you step on grapes, that grape juice comes out, and say you're wearing a light colored garment, it looks like you're colored in blood, like you just committed a murder. That's symbolic, again, for the great destruction that Yahushua is bringing. But it specifically states in Isaiah 63, that Yahushua is coming to meet you Edomites directly. That same red dragon back in Revelation chapter 12, that rulership he was put to death under, the ancient pagan Romans back then, but now the last leg of the Romans today, those iron toes mixed with miry clay, the last bit of that statue in Daniel chapter 2, the reincarnated Roman Empire, the NATO-EU alliance that the U.S. is a part of. And his name is called the Word of the Most High. And when you read John chapter 1, it states that Yahushua is the Word of the Most High, made flesh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And that's the host of heaven. The angels, getting with the archangel Michael, returning with Yahushua in the heavenly vehicles of the Most High, the chariots, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs, to make war against these heathen nations, chiefly these Edomites. That's what that war in heaven in Revelation chapter 12 verse 7 is talking about. It's not talking about, again, Satan and the fallen angels fighting against Michael and the archangels. It's talking about the angels led by Yahushua in the chariots fighting against the dragon and his angels, Esau and his military might. And what have we been hearing these different Edomite governments set up over the past couple of years, especially under former President Donald J. Trump? A space force. And that isn't just to blow out Russian and Chinese satellites out of the sky. And these higher-ups know exactly what's about to take place, so they're attempting to prepare themselves accordingly. But when you read further in Revelation chapter 12, it says that his place was no more found in heaven. It's going to be a first-round knockout when Yahushua comes to make war against Esau and his military might. Verse 15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And that's talking about that concentrated heat, the so-called laser beams being fired from the chariots. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of the Almighty power. So I read all that just to get to that point where it said, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. That goes straight back to Revelation chapter 12, where it says, 12 and 5, where it says, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up into the Most High and to his throne. But, Salakia. Pretty chilly out here. I don't think it'd be so bad. What's making it so bad is the wind, and I'm right by a body of water. So. That's really dry my throat out. But hey, with all that being said, now we have an understanding of who this dragon is, that old serpent called the devil and Satan in Revelation chapter 20. So let's go back there. This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And again, that 1,000 years is going into the time of the Byzantine Empire, and just that period when Israel, more specifically the Southern Kingdom, was ruling in Europe as the Moors and the great kings and monarchs and all that during the medieval times, what they referred to as the Dark Ages. And it wasn't dark because technological innovation had come to a standstill and it was just a dead point in history. It was known as the Dark Ages because actual dark-skinned people, so-called Negroes, Israelites, were ruling in Europe. And remember, what did they call the I believe it was the bubonic plague that killed off a large population of Europe. What did they call it? The Black Plague, because it killed off a lot of those Israelites ruling in Europe. And with such a mass die-off that took place, that further helped those Edomites come back into power and take over in Europe and begin their renaissance, their rebirth, which has led all the way until today. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So, after that 1,000 years, which comes into around the time of the late 1300s, coming into the 1400s, that's when these Edomites started coming back into power. You had a lot of our people foolishly civilize these Edomites, teach them how to start reading again and do mathematics, and they even had to show these Edomites proper hygiene, because the Edomites are the basest of people out here, so they didn't know what to do. You had Edomites wearing their clothes until they disintegrated, and I believe there's some accounts to where when some of the Moors would visit some Edomites that are in a higher position of power in their own area, that you would have the Edomite woman, or the queen to the king. She would literally be picking lice out of her pubic hair, and I think she was even eating it. And I remember another account where these Edomites didn't know how to wash their asses, so they had clumps of dry shit in their ass. That's the basest of men that's ruling over us. But hey, that just goes to show the power of the Most High, that such a low, base, vile creature could be from the bottom and brought all the way to the top right now, and given such advanced technology and so-called science. But now I'm going to jump to verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan, that adversary, shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. And that Renaissance, that rebirth, they started off pushing that Renaissance Christianity, where they painted over the dark images to show themselves as the Most High and His Son, and the Israelites and the angels. And then they started coming with their pseudosciences, the theory of evolution, Darwinism, and heavily pushed atheism, and just this society we live in right now, where democracy is a better form of a monarchy. You've got the alphabet group out here, beginning with LG, feminism, capitalism, socialism, communism, all that, which has just got the people completely bugged out here, and people don't even know if they're coming or they're going. A big thing now is, again, with this alphabet group beginning with LG, you got boys that don't know if they're boys, they think they might be girls, and vice versa, which is funny because the other day I had lunch with a family member of mine, and we were talking, and this family member brought up one of my she and my niece, she's my step niece, and she's about 12 years old right now. But my family member brought up about how she doesn't know whether she wants to deal with boys or girls. She doesn't know which one she wants to like, which one she wants to deal with, which just goes to show the madness that this devil, this dragon, this adversary, Satan, has deceived the people with. Because I remember growing up, of course you didn't have all this stuff getting pushed in the media like it is now, but when I was growing up, I knew exactly what I was and what I wanted to be, what I wanted to deal with. I knew I was a little boy, and I liked dealing with females. But now, just with this serpent, the doctrine of the serpent getting pushed out here, people are just completely bugged the hell out, which is going to be beautiful when this devil's finally taken out of power. Things are going to just go back to being normal, go back to being right side up. There's going to be no more confusion or madness taking place out here, which, all that being said, tying back into the beginning of the lesson, this devil is just about to reach those bounds which he cannot pass, hence why his kingdom is collapsing on all levels, and he's just about to be completely taken out of power. And again, that devil, Evelyn Rothschild, dying is just another indicator of that. All these, a lot of these higher ups out here who have really been pushing for this great reset, they're dying off, and they won't get to see the fruit of their labors. The only thing they're going to get to see is the fruits of their wickedness, which is going into slavery. And these elites are going to be the first crops of slaves in the kingdom of heaven, according to the scriptures. I'll get that real quick, then I'm going to jump back to that Job. And Yahushua Ratazah making sense. I know I'm a little all over the place right now, but the spirit goeth where it listeth. But this is Psalms 149. I might just start at the top. But hey, this is this is directly to you elites out there, you other higher ups, because we know you watch the videos. Hence, why our videos are constantly getting cut from YouTube and our channels are constantly getting deleted. And now you're pushing this whole anti-Sim agenda in the news to demonize the truth and to eventually come after it. You're putting all these domestic terrorism and hate speech laws in place, all that. Before I came to camp, I was watching a video that the elder brother, I believe in the San Francisco camp, did, showing about how they rolled out that monkey, that Hamite, Obama. They rolled him out to give a speech where he was saying, we can't let I'll say the word, conspiracy theories that we read online ruin our thoughts out here. Just because you hear it online doesn't mean it's the truth. He was saying he was saying things like, it doesn't matter whether you're white or black or ish or whatever. If you hear information on the news, on the internet, saying that one group of people is responsible for everything taking place, then you can know it's BS. But when you look at just the way of things out here, what group of people is in control of all the major trades and resources out here? Edomites. More specifically at that, Amalekites, the Ishers. And if you go watch my lesson from last Saturday, I broke it down with the book Who is Esau Edom? And just through the scriptures that these Edomites, specifically these Amalekites, would be the ones in the highest positions and then to control everything right now. But again, that's just them trying to demonize the word and keep this truth from going out. But as it says in Isaiah 55 verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. You Edomites can't do anything against the truth but for the truth. But as for you elites, again, yeah, we got a few of them dying. Your Rothschild, Queen Elizabeth, and who knows, a few more of these higher-ups might die. But those that do survive, which is going to be a large bulk of you, you're going to go to your underground bunkers, your luxury submarines and undersea cities, and your low-orbit space stations. A lot of y'all are going to survive just so you can be the first crop of slaves in the kingdom of heaven. But this is Psalms 149. I'm going to start at verse 1. Praise ye Yahweh. Sing unto Yahweh a new song, and his praise in the congregation of the saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and the harp. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people, and his people only. Again, your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true children of Israel. And he will beautify the meek with salvation, beginning with the elect of the nation of Israel, who are going to be the first fruits to receive salvation in the kingdom, and then the rest of the nation, the wicked of our people that were cut off and died on this side, they're going to be reborn through the loins of the elect into the kingdom of heaven, under the new covenant, with the laws, statutes, and commandments in them, completely righteous. So at the end of the day, all of Israel will be saved and will be good. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. A literal two-edged sword, along with rods of iron, to do what? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. So where's this talk about God loving everybody? God doesn't love everybody. Who you ignorantly refer to as God, so-called God, whose true name is Yahweh, only loves his people. And as for the rest of you nations, the Most High doesn't give a shit about you. You're as spit and vanity and less than nothing. As it says in 2nd Esdras chapter 6, and I believe in Isaiah chapter 42, you're like a drop of water that falleth from a bucket. And especially you Edomites, the basest of men. Who, as it says in Romans chapter 9, for Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. And you did the most to the children of Israel when we went down, and not just now with the transatlantic slave trade all the way up until today, but what in the past, you Edomites had a hand in taking down the southern kingdom during the Neo-Babylonians, when the first temple was destroyed, and you had you destroyed the second temple as the Romans during 70 AD, and now you're afflicting the children of Israel today. So that what is it in baseball? 3 strikes, you're out. You Edomites are on your last strike. You're about to be taken out completely. Again, beginning with these scumbag piece of shit elites. And just because you got all the wealth and the resources and the money right now doesn't take away from the fact that you're a piece of shit bum Edomite. Before you Rothschilds changed your name to Rothschild, your original name was Bauer, which means a peasant, a low person, because that's what you Edomites are. You're the filth and the scum and the basis of the earth. You're always meant to be the tail, and even though you're the head right now, once this ship gets righted back up, the head is going to go back to its rightful place. The children of Israel being in power, and you Edomites, the other heathens, are going to go back to your rightful place, being as the tail under our subjection. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains. These the super elite, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Cargiles, the Merovingians, the Aldriches, these bullshit royalty kings and queens, and their nobles with fetters of iron. These lower level Edomites in positions of power, your dukes and your nobles and stuff like that. Your Bill Gateses, your Elon Musks, your Noah Yuval Harari, however you say that devil's name. Even if they survive, but you get what I'm saying. Those lower level elites. Hey, everybody in positions of power, if you survive, you're going into slavery. And it's as simple as that. And you're going to be the first fruits of slavery. To execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh. Point blank, period. It's a lot here. Get a little bit of a ruddy nose. So as we just read in Psalms 149, hey, heathens, beginning with your elites, are going into slavery. Hey, we're in the beginning stages of it right now. You Edomites have just about reached those bounds that you cannot pass. You're about to be taken out of power, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. As it says in Jeremiah, I believe 51, we would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed. It doesn't matter who won the midterm elections. If we even get to the 2024 presidential elections, it doesn't matter who gets elected, really selected, because all these presidents and politicians are puppets. There's going to be no Make America Great Again. There's going to be no Build Back Better. There's going to be no second renaissance for you Edomites in America or globally. You're in the last leg of your final rulership. You're about to go down. You're about to go into slavery, and you're going to get double done unto you as you did unto us during our captivity. And it's as simple as that. But let's get back to that Job. This is Job chapter 20. I'll reread verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short? Hey, that he would rule for a little season, that he would deceive the nations in the four quarters of the earth for a little season, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. And that should bring to mind the book of Obadiah, which is a whole book dedicated to you Edomites. Which, what does it say? Obadiah chapter 1 verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. As it said, though thou set thy nest among the stars, back in Revelation 20, Job 20 verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, unto the stars. Speaking of what? Hey, his low orbit satellites and the other assets he's got up in space. Hey, even these planes these Edomites created to fly in the skies. Though you were given all this great power and technology to rule for a season, thence will I bring thee down. And again, the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. You Edomites were never set up to rule indefinitely. You had your little time to rule, with your blessing being the sword and the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. You've just about reached the end of your renter blessing. So now you're going to have to return that blessing and have to pay up the tab. And that's going to be a tab that, hey, Ain't nobody gonna want to pay, but you're gonna have to pay it in full, just like we had to pay our tab. We went off from our power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So what? The curses came upon us, and we went under your subjection, and you treated us horrifically and badly. There's gonna be a recompense for that. You touched the apple of the Most High's eye, the people that He loves above all else. So what do you think He's gonna do to you? If He did this to the people that He loves, what do you think He's gonna do to the people that He hates? Hey, do unto her double as she did unto you. You better get that back ready for some wits, boy. Though His excellency mount up to the heavens, and His head reach unto the clouds, yet He shall perish forever like His own dung or shit. You're going to get flushed down the toilet. They which have seen Him shall say, where is He? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. He shall be chased away as the vision of the night. They also which saw Him shall see Him no more, neither shall His place any more behold Him. And what did Yahweh Shai say in the book of Luke? And I saw Lucifer cast out of heaven like lightning. And when you see lightning in the sky, what is it? It's a quick flicker like that. And if you didn't see it, hey, you missed it. That's how quickly this Edomite is going to go down. And as it said, they that saw him shall see him no more, and say, where is he? All this great power and prestige and image you set up for yourself is going to be taken down just like that. It says that America is going to be destroyed in 1 hour in Revelation chapter 18. And when you look at the... wind's kicking up. The prince of the power of the air doesn't want this coming out. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, these Edomites haven't been ruling long at all. Because what does it say in, I believe it's in Peter's, 1,000 years is as a day to the Most High. And this Edomite's been in power in this final rulership for what? About around 500 years. So that's like a half a day to the Most High. It seems long to us because we're in these bodies. And it's been several reincarnations for us under this Edomite's captivity. But to the Most High, it's only been half a day. So if America, and when America goes down, that's the end of Esau's rulership. If that's going to go down in a literal hour, hey, all that hard work you Edomites did to build up to where you are now and to establish your NW0, gone just like that, just goes to show how insignificant you are and how insignificant your accomplishments were. And it plays into, again, they that saw him shall see him no more, and say, where is he? And as it also said, he shall be like a dream. When Israel is back in rulership in the kingdom of heaven, and you Edomites are down at the bottom, it's going to be hard for our children that have to be reborn through the loins of the elect in the kingdom, because they were wicked on this side and got put down. Hundreds of years into the kingdom, when they see Israel just in their complete majesty, and hey, Yahweh Shai Ratazam, I'm of that elect number and in that first fruits. When we tell our children that these Edomites used to rule over us, and they see you as this base caveman grunting and getting the shit kicked out of you, they'll think we're telling them a fairy tale cartoon, just like you Edomites think it's a fairy tale cartoon when we say we're the children of Israel. But that's just the way it is, as Tupac said. But again, it says the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. And like Yahweh Shai said, I saw Lucifer cast out of heaven like lightning. You Edomites were set up to rule for a little season, and you're at the end of your ropes. You're at the end of that little season, and it's beautiful that hey, a lot of you older devils, you older elites, don't even get to see your everything you've been working for come to its fulfillment. And what's even better is that those that do survive, hey, you're gonna get your shit off a little bit. You're gonna mandatorily implement the C-HIP and get a lot of people under it. And you think that you've just accomplished it. We've finally accomplished our great work. Our NW0 is established. You are going to get some of the men of the Lord into your hands and put them to death. You'll think that because you got the men of the Lord off the highways and byways and got the word off the internet, bringing about the fame of the word, which, like I said, is through the will of the Most High. You got everything set in stone, and you get to ride off into the sunset and rule for eternity. That's not the case, Jack. The Most High has got you in a trick bag, as you've always been in a trick bag. But back in Job chapter 20, where I want to go. Job chapter 20, verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So in the fullness of his sufficiency, right when you thought you had everything under control, trouble shall come upon him. Because when you make major moves, that's when the Most High makes major moves. Once you fully implement that charagma, everything is just gonna go just like that. Even more chaos is gonna speed up. World War III and them nukes are coming, and Yahushua is gonna make his second coming. And it said, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And when you go into that word wicked, it's talking about the laborers. And what that's ultimately talking about is the elect coming after your ass with those spiritual powers. But on the other hand, you got the average person, even of your own people right now, coming after you. These whistleblowers out here turning on you and revealing all of your plans and schemes out there. Some people in your own ranks have betrayed you and started revealing a lot of information. Hey, the men of the Lord right now, we're out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up these video epistles, going into the gates of the nobles, prophesying against you, telling you exactly who you are and that you're going out of power. Verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, hey, you've mandatorily implemented the charagma, you've got your smart cities set up, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, G set up. Everything's locked down. You've got your draconian measures in place. Freedom of speech has been clamped down on. You prepared this delicious meal. The steak, the peas, the baby blood for you Edomites, the wine and everything. You got the table set up nice. Everything's in its nice, complete order. Got to sit down. Took your little napkin, you flayed it out, tucking it into your shirt. You're looking at your nice silverware, got your knife and your fork. You're about to cut into that delicious raw pottage, that raw red meat steak. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And things are just going to speed up that much more. And the end of your rulership and destruction is going to come just like that, like a thief in the night. And one of the main facilitators of your end is going to be these nuclear weapons, which we can clearly see with each passing day. Hey, we're getting closer and closer to that nuclear destruction during World War III. Like I said at the beginning of the lesson, I was originally going to go into the nukes because I watched a really good video by the Canadian prepper talking about just, hey, how close we're getting to that nuclear destruction. You had Russia, they're planning on doing another test of their Sarmat, that Satan II nuclear missile. And you had the head of the Russian Orthodox Church pretty much give President Vladimir Putin his blessing to say, hey, do whatever you think is necessary to protect us from the U.S. and the West as a whole. And Russia is going to be that nation that's going to lead this nuclear strike against the United States of America. Not only with their allies, but the allies of America, the European and NATO allies that are going to turn against her. But again, that nuclear destruction is what's going to facilitate, be one of the main facilitators of the destruction of your kingdom. Because once these nukes start flying, they're going to hit everywhere you Edomites dwell. He shall flee from the iron weapon, from the nukes, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yeah, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret place, and a fire not blown shall consume him. Talking about those nukes, because that nuclear destruction, when those nuclear missiles detonate, it's not like a normal fire where you put wood together and get your lighter fluid and ignite it. It's those elements in there that interact with each other when that warhead detonates and creates that fire that way, a fire not blown. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Every Edomite that's in America is going to be done, finito. And a lot of Edomites globally are going to die from these nuclear missiles hitting everywhere you dwell. But as for those that are left in his tabernacle, beginning with you elites, and you're going into slavery, when the dust settles, Yahushai, leading the 144,000 who are fishers of men right now, are going to be hunters of men in that day with those new spiritual bodies. 144,000 Black Adams, which I still need to watch that movie. But from what I heard from brothers that watched it, they said Black Adam was an unstoppable force. But hey, Black Adam, hey, who's the original Black Adam? Yahushai, because Yahushai was Adam in the past during the reincarnation. So the real Black Adam is going to lead his brother Black Adams to come and start slapping chains on you remaining heathens, beginning with you elites. Verse 27, the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. And the heaven revealing his iniquity is these satellites in the second heavens of low orbit space, beaming these internet signals all across the planet. When brothers upload videos, that unicorn the unicorn of the internet, which you can read about in Psalms chapter 19, is pushing these videos from one end of the earth even unto the other in all different languages and stuff like that. And this word is the beginning stages of bringing you Edomites and your rulership down. Like I said a little earlier, the men of the Lord are prophesying in the gates of the nobles, telling you who you are and what's going to happen to you. And as it says in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, which it has been, mainly through that unicorn, the internet. And then shall the end come. The word comes first, and then the action, the judgment, and the destruction. And that involves you Edomites being taken out of power, going into slavery. And the earth shall rise up against him. What is it saying back in Obadiah? I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. A lot of these other heathens out here are starting to wake up to the fact that the number one problem on the face of the earth are you Edomites. With the environment, with these wars you wage, these policies you push, everything. There was a beautiful quote that Hugo Chavez said when he was speaking at one of those UN meetings. And he said, if you want to know what the root cause of all the problems on the earth are, just look at people with blonde hair and blue eyes in a business suit. And who was he talking about? The Edomites. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. And when we jump to verse 15 back in Job 20, it says, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. The increase of your house departing is all this gold, all this silver, all these relics, a lot of which you have under Vatican City. Everything you took from the children of Israel, hey, you're going to vomit back up all those riches, and we're going to get it back. And hey, Israel is going to get the whole world, which was ours to begin with. Everything was created for our sakes. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. Point blank period. This is the portion of a wicked man. Hey, you were set up for a little season to rule. You did your dirty deeds. You did your wickedness. You afflicted the children of Israel. Hey, you just about reached the ends of your rent blessing, of your rulership. And now you're going to have to return all those things, return all those videos back to Blockbuster. Younger brothers, older brothers who remember that, you have to vomit up all those goods, all those riches, and give it back to the rightful owners and go back to your rightful place as the tail, being slaves. And then you're going to go through the most brutal slavery humanity has ever seen for 1,000 years. And then after that 1,000 years, every single Edomite man, woman, and child, young and old, is going to be gathered up and permanently culled from this planet with fire. Shit. Closed out with that. This is back in the book of Obadiah vocab. Let me see. Shit, I'll start at verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. This is a portion of a wicked man. And this is talking about during the time of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, when you Edomites helped those Babylonians, which I believe were Assyrians, from the people of Ashur, bring down the southern kingdom, or Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. When it's about to go into it. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them, when a lot of Israelites were trying to flee from the Babylonians, and you were waiting in the cut to hew them to pieces. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah, so-called Negroes, so-called blacks or African Americans, in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. The Edomites did it then. You did it during 70 AD, and you did it during colonization, transatlantic slave trade, the Reconstruction, all the way up until today. We're still a byword to you, just niggas, spics, tontos, thugs, bums, deadbeats, gangsters, whores, everything under the sun but who we truly are, the children of Israel. The worst thing going in society. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yeah, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Back then, you stole a lot of our shit. And you stole everything out of the temple during 70 AD, which we had so much wealth, gold and silver and other things in Jerusalem, that's what Titus Vespasian used to build up the Colosseum and a lot of other great works of the Roman Empire. Go look at the Arch of Titus, where it shows the Roman Edomites plundering Jerusalem. You see them hold the menorah and other of our things that we have. And just look at all the wealth you got off the back of our labors from slavery. Your whole system was built off of the back, the blood and the sweat and the tears of the children of Israel. Thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Israelites trying to escape the Babylonians, and you were waiting in the cut like a serpent, like a devil, to cut them down. Fucking piece of shit. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. And he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. As it says in Revelation chapter 18, do unto them double as they did unto you, but in righteousness. We're going to afflict you Edomites and you heathens according to the scriptures. There's going to be no buck breaking, no force feeding you pork, no raping your loved ones in front of you, none of that wicked stuff. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink and they shall swallow down. And it says in Lamentations that you Edomites are going to drink that cup to the dregs. You're going to get every bit of affliction out of that cup of affliction. And you're going to be made drunk off of it. Yeah, they shall drink and they shall swallow down. And they shall be as though they had not been. They shall narrowly look upon thee and say, is this the man that turned the earth into a wilderness and that cast down nations, as it says in Isaiah chapter 14? And as it said back in that Job 20, they that narrowly look upon thee shall see thee no more. You're going to be as a dream. And once you Edomites are taken out of power, your prestige, your image, your George Washingtons, your Julius Caesars, America, the Roman Empire, is going to be as though it had not been. You're going to go to being a no people with no identity. The only thing you're going to be is an Edomite in slavery. They shall be as though they had not been. And hey, you other heathens, though you're going to have your I don't want to say rulerships, but you're going to have your lands and your societies in the kingdom of heaven. Hey, none of you are ever going to be above the children of Israel ever again. You're going to be second-class citizens for eternity in the kingdom of heaven on the planet Earth. But you're going to be okay with it because you're going to see what a righteous rulership looks like. You're going to be living under the laws, statutes, and commandments. You're going to have clean water, clean air, clean food. The family structure is going to be back in order with the man at the head and the women and children in subservience. A man's going to know he's a man. A woman's going to know she's a woman's going to know she's a woman. All that good stuff. As it says in Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, speaking of the southern kingdom, and the house of Joseph, the northern kingdom, so-called Latinos and Native Americans, a flame, showing all 12 tribes back together, in harmony in the kingdom of heaven. And the house of Esau, so-called white people, for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken it. So after that 1,000 years of building up the kingdom of heaven, free of charge to us, because you're going to be a free slave labor for us. After that first 1,000 years, these other heathens are going to be allowed to go back to their lands, but they're going to be under our subjection. But as for you Edomites, again, every single Edomite man, woman, and child will be gathered up and permanently culled from this planet by fire. That's going to be all she wrote. So that's it with this lesson. With this lesson, I hope sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Another elite devil's dead, and that's just a further sign that these Edomites are on the decline. Their rulership's about to go down, and we got next. So, again, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified by this lesson. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Abad Babal, Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.